Education makes people easy to lead but difficult to drive, easy to govern but impossible to enslave. Discuss. This is a statement based on the values of education, but it refers to one aspect of education, namely, the citizenship value. Education has of course many aims like earning bread and butter, shelter, clothing and a good life. The last concerns man as a member of a society. Except in a dictatorial society, the ordinary citizen is, theoretically at least, equal to every other citizen and enjoys equal rights. This equality enjoins equality of justice and equality of opportunity. No position in the public life can be said to be far from his reach because of his birth or creed, provided of course he deserves it by education and qualification. In every enlightened modern government, emphasis is laid on the education of its citizens. Up to a certain age, education is made compulsory so that boys and girls get the benefit of it. They get enlightened and they are willing to obey and, given the chance, are ready to rule. Since almost every government in the world is governed by the representatives of the people, these representatives must be educated enough to shoulder the responsibility that falls on them. That is why one British minister said, "Let us educate our masters," meaning that the people who vote their representatives for the highest legislative body of the country must be educated. Education helps them realize their responsibilities while they appreciate their rights. They will be able to weigh their opinions before jumping into conclusions. They will know how to respect the opinion of others while they may stick to their own. They will remember there is always another side to a question when they differ. They have a right to say, "I beg to differ." That is a sign of a civilized man. At the same time, he will never allow himself to be treated as a dumb, driven cattle. He does not like being driven. In whatever station he finds himself, the educated man can easily fit in. Real sign of education is that when he reaches an exalted position in life he never loses his head, when he is in a humble position he never breaks his head either. Thus an educated man shows equanimity. He will sail in fair weather or foul. They know the value of leadership in any setup, and they too know that to become a leader one must have certain desirable qualities. When a right leader is found, it is easier to follow him. Thus history is replete with examples where a downtrodden or fallen people have followed a leader. People may follow a leader with almost religious fervor, but if the people are not educated enough, their loyalty shakes and wavers. There is a glaring example of this type in India where people followed Gandhiji's footsteps, and when he left the scene he has become almost a legend, only to be worshipped at times. His erstwhile followers have changed loyalties. In this case it is the miracle because of a faith akin to religion and not because of education. Had the people been properly educated, the present debacle would never have been there. In other words, when people are educated it is easier to lead them because they know the directions and they walk where others may limp. It is easy to lead an enlightened mass of people than a mob. The Roman mob wanted Brutus, tragically enough, to be Caesar, and later on when Antony worked on their minds, they called the same Brutus traitor. An educated person would follow, without being driven. He knows his limits as well as that of others, so if he senses that he is being driven he revolts. No force of government or the shackles of law can break his back. Physically he may be paralyzed, but his spirit would be strong. Since democracy is a government by consent, the people should be well educated so that leadership among them may become possible. Here we should not confuse between an educated and a literary society. There are examples where such a paradox exists, but it is only an exception rather than the rule. A really educated man is glad to follow, but he would certainly resent being forced to follow. It is easy to govern an educated group of people, for they know the need for such governments for the smooth functioning of the society. They know the value of give and take. They know the value of the rule of the law. They know there must be somebody to govern, even though the authority comes from the people. They will never allow themselves to be enslaved. Their rights are sacrosanct, and anybody encroaching it is not tolerated. Still, there are some societies where, in spite of education, allow themselves to be enslaved. These are historical accidents, and the future historian may be able to find a clue to it. How long this state of things can continue, one cannot prophesy. It is safe to bet that such an artificial condition cannot continue to dominate forever. One can conclude finally that education must be there for leadership qualities and good governing.